socialism great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in the state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money and the power, never be fake. Stick to code, side for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same empire back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV.
During Powernomics Thursday, we get an opportunity to hear from the one and only and the legendary and the brilliant Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Anderson is the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. And so as I begin the conversation, I'd like to ask Dr. Anderson, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing a little bit better, Dr. Watkins. I guess I'm improving by millimeters. So hopefully I'll come out of this sometime soon. But I want to come out of it by the 1st of June, because this is between the 1st of June and the last of this year, December. This is a special year for Black folk. 2020 is it for us. We got to do it and do it right.
Well, you know, I think this really is a special year, not just, you know, for the reasons that you mentioned, which I agree with, but also, you know, we got this crazy thing going on with the pandemic. And it's like a massive economic upheaval. You know, you're seeing entire industries getting shifted. I see a lot of people starting businesses just for survival, mostly digital businesses. A lot of Black money is actually being diverted to Black businesses as Black folks are trying to sort of figure out how we can sort of rebuild the world in a better way. So I'm actually kind of feeling like the pandemic is an opportunity for Black people to really build a better world. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Anderson?
You're right, and it would be if Black folk were prepared. See, if Black folk had a prepared mind, see, a prepared mind can always take advantage of any circumstance, but an ill-formed and ill-prepared Black mind can't do a damn thing. And when I say a prepared mind, what does that mean? You gotta have a basis. And basis of any wealth and any power and enrichment, any place on earth, is based, first of all, on what you stand on. That's land, period, land. That's why Moses was taking his people trying to find the promised land. Anytime in history, man was fighting, he was looking for land, and to where he can build. And what was he gonna do with that land? He's gonna build a community on it. I mean, Dr. Watkins, even if you watch the old Western movies, when people started moving west, first thing they would do, and they went into the Indian territory, the first thing they'd do, they'd go someplace and find a piece of land, and they would build a fort. Am I right? Build a fort and say, and behind that fort, we're gonna put up a big wall of trees or woods or something where we can protect it. And then we'll put troops behind it. And so if anybody attacks us or anybody else, we got a fort. Or if they didn't build a fort, they would be riding out in open territory in the desert. Guess what they do when Indians attack them? They would circle a wagon. Now tell me when you've seen Black folk either going someplace and finding land, building a fort, saying this is ours, behind it was gonna be our barrier for protection, or if they're out in dry land, open territory, where they say, when the opponents come after them, we're gonna circle the wagons on behalf of Black folk. They don't do those kind of things. Anybody on earth would do those except our people. They don't understand the nature of that. So right now, they gotta figure out how to start building these, finding land, and on that land putting communities, or building forts. If they can't build a fort on land, start learning how to circle wagons when other groups attack them. And that's called being defending themselves against vertical integration. And to see integration is just, they never understood vertical integration. They always got hung up on horizontal integration. We'll talk about all that today if you want to. There's a difference between vertical integration and horizontal integration.
Well, you know what, Dr. It's funny you bring that up. You know, I'm hearing a little bit of echo, so I might mute you when I'm talking. That way the echo will go away, hopefully. You know, Dr. Anderson, I was thinking about that, right? And There was a lecture I gave not too long ago, and I think I'm gonna do it again. And I called it the rules of economic self-defense. And I put that together because one of the things I really believe that Black people never learn as children is how to protect ourselves.
Right.
You know, there is something about being part of an oppressed group of people where they want you to be disarmed. That's why most of these Black men that get shot ain't got no weapon on them. Because the whole life they've been brainwashed to believe that why you need a weapon? You don't need a weapon. The weapons are for the police. The white guy should have the weapons. You ain't supposed to have a weapon. So we're brainwashed into that. And in fact, speaking just on that gun issue, I remember when a member of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, one of the leadership, he slipped up and in public he said Black people need to start arming ourselves to protect ourselves. And they immediately like removed him from his position, and they said we're going to send him for re-education. You know, we're going to re-brainwash this Negro because apparently this idea of Black people protecting themselves, we can't have Negroes thinking that way, right? So to me, I think that just going back to what you're saying, you know, it's common sense, right? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Most nations maintain a consistent state of readiness and preparation.
That's right.
You know, they have soldiers on the borders just in case somebody attacks. They got the military together. They're doing drills. They protect themselves economically, politically, physically, etc. We don't really do that. I mean, really think about that. We don't stay. There's very little conversation in the Black community about just readiness and protection.
Self-protection.
Right. And so even if you just focusing solely on the economic side of it, you know, when I really was thinking about, you know, the way I like to teach economics, I said, we need to talk about these things just for our own protection, because what happens is that you're not prepared. So you spend your whole life constantly being victimized by other people. You're constantly reacting to one trauma, one tragedy after another. You know, even I remember even in my own family, just when you talk about just the economic protection part of it, I remember watching them have one financial disaster after another. And then when the disaster was over, it was like, woof, I'm glad that's over. And then they would just sit there like lame ducks waiting for the next tragedy to happen. And you can't live like that. You have to think about all the things that can go wrong so you can protect yourself when they do go wrong. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit? Do you think, where do you think we lost our desire and ability to really just protect ourselves in every way?
I think most of it came out of slavery, where the white man says basically, I want to control you, and you're going to be vulnerable to whatever I do anytime I want to do it. And that's why the white man felt totally no resistance to doing anything he wanted to a Black person. Whip him every day. After they pick cotton all day, if he didn't pick close to 300 pounds of cotton a day, he got an ass whipping that night when he came in, period. And the white man would beat him with a leather strap and put a little piece of metal on the end of it just to make sure he got the point, okay? And that was why that the law itself said that, in slavery and segregation, that a white man can do anything he wants to a Black person. That even if you kill him, white man would insure a black slave with an insurance company. So if I kill this sucker accidentally, I can be reimbursed for it. And because he has no value except the value that I have on. I'm his sole protector. I'm his God on the Almighty. I can do anything I want to a Black person. And that's what the Second Amendment to the Constitution was saying. That's what the gun control law is all about. Told it where it mandated, Dr. Watkins, that in every state had an obligation. Nobody brings this up in discussions about gun control. Nobody brings it up. Every state mandated that during slavery, that every young man between 18 and 45 was mandated. He wasn't asked and suggested that he should do something. It was mandated that every young man between 18 and 45 be prepared to defend white businesses, white family, white culture, and the white man and the white woman especially against a Black person. That's what the gun control laws came in about. 18, And that's why in total states, not only would you do that, but we'll call that a militia, a white militia. So we have it as an organized, established reinforcement preparation. And so that if black folk break loose any place and start any kind of disturbance, that's why John Brown got trapped, you know, again, because they called out the Marine Corps and he went up to break into the armory to get the weapons to free blacks. They called a militia. And then about 24 hours, they showed up and trapped him up there. That's why if you have a race ride in Detroit in 1967, and if it's triggered by whites, again, keep in mind now that we had over 367 major riots. Every riot up to the 1960s were triggered by whites. Black folk had never rioted. Never rioted. They responded to riots that whites triggered. And then like a Detroit riot, they called in the military. And the military came out, air troops and everything else, Air Force, and in Tulsa, and the airborne in Detroit in '67 to protect white folk, to protect the community. When you had those hurricanes out in New Orleans, when black folks sitting out on a damn little bridge for a week and a half with no food, no clothes, no medicine, or nothing. They don't send in the ambulances and the hospitalization with medication and food, stuff like that. They send in the military or the police. The police is an extension of the military. Its primary responsibility is to protect white folk because white folk are prepared. That's why right now, out of about 367 million damn rifles and pistols, white folk own 99 and 99.5% of every one of them. Whites own them. And you got blacks running around saying, I'm against weapons because black folk get a gun, they'll shoot each other. Then you deal with the stupidity of black folk. And see, if I was advocating again, if I was a president of the United States, I'd tell black folk, let me tell you one thing. How you stop white folk from shooting black folk? You should tell black folk, for every black person you shoot, the white person gets shot too. You hit me, I hit you back. You send me to the hospital, I send you to the cemetery. And saying instead of having a gun, I would have black folks should say, since we're outnumbered, we're the only original minority outnumbered, 10-1. We don't need a pistol. We need machine guns. We need cannons. And pretty soon, white folk get the message. Say, well, those damn black folk are not stupid. We keep them as a minority. They can still hurt us because, hell, now black folk won't be worried about getting a pistol. They be going out trying to get atomic bombs and stuff like that, blow up the whole damn country. And see, that'll scare the hell out of white folk to find out black folk are no longer, I'm against a gun. I don't want to be anywhere near guns because let the white folk have the gun. And I'm gonna go with Martin Luther King. We're gonna walk down the street. We're gonna hold arms so we hold each other's arms so we can't use our hands. And that way, and then we're gonna sing, we're nonviolent people. So the white racist run out of a crowd with a baseball bat and a brick hit us in the head. All we say is, we're nonviolent. We're nonviolent people. Turn the other cheek. When the blood runs in the street, let it be ours. All that old kind of BS. Instead of being like Red Fox at that time who said, no, you run out here to hit me. I got this knife, you're gonna get cut. And there's a difference. If you start fighting back and see, and all that civil rights BS, when I was pushing back in 1960, telling me you're going the wrong way. Because when you start marching, talking about you're nonviolent, you're reinforcing racism against black folk. You're giving white folk an open permission. You're giving them a free card to hit black folk in the head with a brick when they want to. And so because white folks have a philosophy right now, the reason they hate black folk is black folks, they hate us because of our skin color. That's BS. White folk don't hate you because your damn skin color. They don't give a damn about your skin color. They hate you because your condition. You're poor and powerless and the weak, and that's why they hate you. Why they keep lynching us? They lynch you because they can. People lynch black folk because they can. That's why in a 10-year period, let's see, between 1980 and let's take a 20-year period between 1980 and 1900. 1880 and 1900. They lynched over 2,800 black men. Why did they lynch them? They didn't lynch them because of their damn skin color. They lynched them because of their condition. You're weak ass people. We can lynch you because we can do it. I can be a policeman and I can shoot a black person because I can. You don't have any wealth. You don't have wealth. The greatest power in this country is wealth power. You don't have any wealth power, so you can't reward me or punish me. I can do anything I want to you, whenever I want to. You can't do anything but march and sing, we shall overcome. And let me conclude, because I always break up and give you these 10-minute lectures.
That's okay.
Clarence Darrow said the same thing.
Everybody tell him it's okay to keep going. Let him know it is okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
See, Clarence Darrow, I'm always proud of Clarence Darrow and Frances Weston that wrote the book. What's the book she wrote? What's the name of her book? You know, in France, she's dead now, though. But anyway, Frances Weston, she had the book. And anyway, I was talking about Clarence Darrow. Clarence Darrow was in about 1930s, about 1933 or 1934. And the Scottsboro Boys, you heard about them. Mm-hmm. Okay, they had those 5 boys that white girls didn't even claim it. But white men claimed that those white boys had been in the same boxcar on a train, and they had indulged in sex with white girls, and they had raped them, and they were due to die. They had been on death row for something like 10, 11 years, something like that, and blacks couldn't do anything. So Clarence Darrow was a white lawyer. Says, let me go down there. He went down there within the courts, and within a day or so, he came out and said, hey, turn those boys loose. They turned them loose, and when they turned them loose, black folk out on the front of the courthouse, you know, they saw him coming out. They just started shouting, "Oh, Lordy, come through! Oh, Lordy, thank you, Lordy," and started dancing and singing. And Clarence Darrow said to me, Clarence Darrow stopped him and said, "Hold it!" He said, "Cut the damn bullshit. Cut the bullshit." He said, "Yeah, I got them off." He says, and if you black people spend less time singing and dancing and praying and marching, white folk won't find it so easy to kick your asses." Quote and unquote, okay? That's how the Scottsboro Boys got off down in Alabama after being on death row for so long. Because Darrow said, "Quit cut the crap. Always marching and we're talking about we are nonviolent. Turn the other cheek." And white folks, and that's not what it should have been about. One day I'll tell you about what the Bible said about turning the other cheek. That's what Samson. See, Samson, that came to the earth to protect black folk, the first black people on earth. They were the first they were the first people on earth, and the first Jews on earth. And Samson came in as a prototype for Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. And Samson came to the earth for one very specific reason. Back to your point again, to protect black folk. He came in to protect them, protect the Jews. That's how they were black. Protect them. That's all he said. He didn't come here to be a minister. He didn't come here to march and sing. Samson was a drinker, a drunkard, a gambler, alcoholic, a woman chaser, everything. But one thing he did say is, I'm here to whip ass and take names. That's all I'm here for. And that was his thing. That's all he talked about. And I'm only here to whip butt. And what he's saying, that's why when he in the Valley of Lehigh, when he went for 48 hours, he whipped heads. He whipped heads with a jawbone of an ass. Now listen to what that says. With a jawbone. The jawbone is what? Cheekbone. And he said, I'm not turning my cheek. I'm gonna turn your cheeks. And with the jawbone. And so back to your point, he protected him and said, you should be protecting your damn self, just like Charles Darrow said, you should be protecting yourself against people that are trying to do you in. And that's why I tell black folk, always go vertical. Protect your own people and all these things that are coming at you, be ready to deal with them. And a prepared mind can survive and prosper. An ill-prepared mind can't do a damn thing but take an ass whipping.
All right. Everybody support Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Anderson is the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. Type in the URL for his website because everybody needs his books. Go to powernomics.com. Somebody type that in so other people can see it. It's powernomics.com. Also, I want to shout out Terry Cobb and the Madden family. I saw your donations. Thank you. I didn't say anything at the time because I don't want to interrupt Dr. Anderson when he speaks. But I did see a donation. I want to say thank you for supporting the platform. Anybody else who wants to support, feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. Third thing I want to mention to you guys, as you're hitting the thumbs up button, Dr. Anderson spoke about Black Wall Street. Well, one of the things that we did with our film division, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Dr. Anderson, but we have a division called Boyce Watkins Films because we believe Black people should own entertainment. So we're making movies and supporting Black filmmakers. So we have something called Black Movie Night. And tonight is Black Movie Night. And one film that we made was called Resurrecting Black Wall Street, directed by Dorian Chandler. And it told the story about Black Wall Street. because, and I'd love to get your take on some of that, because you know, that story was one that was tragic and traumatic, but it was also one that people worked really hard to bury and misconstrue and lie about, you know. And I believe every Black child in America should know that story before they know about any other story. Before they even know about the American Revolution, anything else, they should know the story of Black Wall Street. So I'd like to get your take on that. But actually, before I ask you for that, Dr. Anderson, I want to mention to everybody, we're going to watch that movie tonight. You can watch it for free. Just register at blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. So today is the 21st of May. So if you're watching live, we're going to watch tonight at 8 o'clock at blackmovienight.net. You can register there, not .com, .net. All right, Dr. Anderson, so can you tell me, when you talk about, I thought about Black Wall Street when you mentioned how a lot of the riots that were started by whites, they would then blame it on Black people. They would act like Black people started it when really somebody else started and we were responding. Black Wall Street seems to kind of fit in that category, that, you know, in terms of how the media misportrayed it as, you know, we got these Negroes going crazy, and these brave white men are going to go over and protect the community. Can you help set the record straight on the Black Wall Street tragedy? And you, as a history expert, you know, when I mention Black Wall Street and you're sharing that story in a way that we need to hear it, what comes to mind? And take as long as you need, because I think everybody, bring your kids in so they can hear this. They need to hear from Dr. Anderson. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, let me start at the beginning then. See, the Black Wall Street that everybody talks about was not really the real Black Wall Street. You know that, don't you? That was not the first primary Wall Street. You're talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Mm-hmm. Well, really wasn't even Tulsa. It was called Greenwood. It was Greenwood, Oklahoma. It was outside of Tulsa. That's where they had the little Black Wall Street. There was in Greenwood, which is a suburb of Tulsa. But even there, that was almost a miniature a duplication of the real Black Wall Street. The real Black Wall Street was Durham, North Carolina. That's where Black folk had built all these major industries, the insurance industries and banking industries. All with Black was in Durham, North Carolina. But in Greenwood, they began to sort of duplicate it out there, and they did the same thing up in Wilmington, North Carolina, and some other places where Blacks were trying to build some businesses, but white folks knew that they were vulnerable. Same thing in Rosewood, Wilmington, North Carolina, Rosewood, and Tulsa and Greenwood, and so they whites rioted, destroyed it, most of these communities, and most of them really started taking on a great impetus in about right at the end of World War I. And that's what they call it. In 1920, call it the long red summer. You're familiar with that, aren't you? That's all across America. White folk began to push back against Black folk coming back from World War I with some commitments. They ain't taking no more free ass whippings. They've gone off now like the Harlem group, Harlem Hellcats, one of the big groups that had gone off to World War I in Germany and France, were fighting the Germans, and they had learned to defend themselves. And they were prepared to defend themselves against all comers. They called Harlem Hellcats. And when Johnson was one guy, he got recognized and decorated for it, leading the Black Hellcats in France. But he had said, defend yourself, just like he had defended himself in combat. And so, but most of the Blacks in those various areas, like what you call Wall Streets, they were defenseless. Most of those Black, because white folk had enacted after the Civil War in 1865, they come up with all the Black codes, and the Black codes restricted how many weapons Black folks could have. And they had passed codes saying that basically Black folk could not have, at best they could have a rifle. They could have a rifle, they could not have pistols and stuff like this. So Blacks didn't have that many weapons in Tulsa or Greenwood or in Rosewood or in Wilmington or any place else in the United States, even in Harlem or across Detroit, like the riots of 1943. Blacks were going out there with golf clubs and baseball bats trying to fight and defend themselves against whites in Detroit in the big riots of 1943, because Blacks are basically unarmed. And see, the problem is really inside the Black race, because we right now, we got so much internal hatred for our own people that we try to, and we've been taught to imitate whites, to see Black folks the same way white folks see them. White folks see Blacks as weak people who can take a free ass whipping. They're unarmed, they can't fight back. And that's why That's what the police. That's why the police keep shooting black folk. They shoot black folk because they know you're weak and you're unarmed. And so, but they didn't have any black policemen. First black policemen began to show up about 1948, and they showed up in places like Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and other cities. They started putting a few blacks in the police department. But since 1948, this is 2020. That's heading towards 100 years. Do you ever hear about a black policeman killing whites? Never. You ever seen about them drag them out, shoot them in the streets down, shoot them while they're running, jogging?
One area where I will jump in on that a little bit is my father was a police officer for 25 years, and he killed one man in his whole career. And from what I understand, and the man that he killed actually happened to be a white man who pulled a gun on him. And I will say, I mean, just to lay out the full narrative in terms of what I remember seeing, and this was in the 1980s. And one thing that was really interesting about the police is that I saw a lot of cops, I knew a lot of cops, so I learned the good and the bad as far as what goes on with police. And one thing that he mentioned was when he shot that white man that was terrorizing the whole neighborhood. There were white people in the neighborhood that wrote him thank you letters, saying thank you for dealing with this person, But what was also interesting though was when he got hired on the police force, and in the force he was on is the Louisville Police Department, which is in the national news all the time now for racist stuff they're doing against black people. So I give him a hard time about that. I say, what are y'all doing? But he's retired a long time ago, so he's not connected to that directly, but. I do know, I remember him telling me that the connection with cops, the blue code in terms of, like the way they operate like a street gang where they don't snitch on each other, all this other stuff. He said that code was so strong that he said that he had fellow cops that were members of the KKK that would stand by him before they stood by a random white person on the street because that police code was so strong. And I just share that story just because that was what I remember seeing. But it also kind of told me a lot about this sort of thinking, that you're above the law. And you're right. When that police department is in the news for shooting somebody, it's almost always a black person. So the racial stuff is there, but it's also a connection in my mind to just the fundamental problems in terms of how the police operate in general as soldiers, as as these people that don't have a respect for human life in general, and they're not going to respect black life because we're the easiest ones to kill.
Right. Well, you're absolutely right, and that's so they kill black folk because they can. Remember that. The answer: they kill black folk because they can. That's important. That's the equation for you. Now, see, I was functioning as an investigator for the Safe Street and Crime Act in the 1967 riots in Detroit, Michigan. And I was down with the police department, the assistant police commissioner's office. And I was out. I used to ride every night, just leave the commissioner's office, go out and ride with the vice squad and the morale squad, just because I had to do these reports that I was working on about possible riots and what was happening with black folk. And again, when I went with Florida, and I was in the governor's office, I knew all about, again, watching how the police operated. And we had something like 19 grand juries operating just in Dade County. And what they were after was drug addiction. But the people they were picking on were black people. They weren't picking, see, most of the drugs being brought in this country weren't being brought in by black folk. Drugs is a white collar crime. It's not a blue collar crime. But they made it a blue collar crime so they can get their hands on black folk and shoot a black person, pull a black person off the streets, selling a little bag of crack cocaine with 2 crown pieces in it, and then they'll shoot him, beat the hell out of him, put him in jail. When we had crack coming into Miami International Airport by aircrafts every damn day, black unmarked airplanes being flown into Miami Airport and parked on the north side of the airport down there. Then they would use black baggage handlers in Miami to go out there and unload the damn crack cocaine. Then they had Sunrise Bank down on Biscayne Boulevard that had a $34 million revolving loan fund to launder the damn money. So for Cubans down in there, the money was coming in because of the Cubans that had poured into Miami. So they were operating. And at the same time, you had people sitting in the White House at that time in early 1989. At that time, again, I'd left the governor's office, was running campaigns for Ed Dunn down for the Attorney General for the state at that time. And guess what? That damn drugs coming in. That's how Ollie North got involved in that. Ollie North at Hassenfoot and Secord. He got shot down flying in drugs, trying to get it into the damn country. Everybody keep talking about drugs coming in from Mexico. What did those damn drugs coming in like that from Mexico? It was coming in by Cubans when they began to come into the country. And then it was a white collar crime. Blacks can't go out there and bring in drugs because all the drugs are being raised as crops down in Latin America, processed down there. You had to be able to speak Spanish. They were on deal with their own people to be able to interpret. And all the drugs were coming in boats and airplanes, being brought in massive numbers into the country. But it wasn't black folk. All black folk, they would have a little small piece of crack and get his ass whipped and shot. When the people that were bringing in all the drugs in Florida and down at that time, over at the bank, and they were laundering the money. And then when they were using Sunrise Bank, they would go buy 3 or 4 houses and store money in the damn walls. And then when they would use the banks and the walls in those houses for storing money and drugs money. And they had so much damn money, couldn't keep it in the bank because at that time we could track them down too easily. See, all the bullshit is put on black folk. Because black folk are not prepared to deal with this stuff. They don't understand the name of the game. See, black folk get charged with blue collar crime for out walking around the street with trying to be a pimp or a hustler and breaking into a gas station and get a damn 6-pack of beer, get his ass whipped and get shot. When white folk are stealing, white folk are classified what they call a white collar crime, civil. So their crime goes into the civil courts, black crime goes into the criminal courts. So blacks wind up with a damn record. So he can't vote. He spend time in prison and get his ass whipped and killed in prison. Blacks don't understand the game. The game is going on. And that's why I write these books to try to explain all this stuff to black folk. You're locked into a game, a social construct, and you're not gonna win. That's why you keep losing. You don't lose for 5 different reasons. One, mean you don't win for 5 different reasons. One, the first reason you don't win is because you have a little understanding of who we are and why we are where we are. That's called a social construct. That's in that book, Black History Reader. First thing I talk about is a social construct. Tell black folk where you are, who you are, and why you're here and how long you've been here. That's the first reason you keep losing.
I got that book right here, by the way.
Thank you. You're a good man. Thank you, buddy. And that's one in that's in that 5 packs of books they get for the Black History Reader. That's when the first one they should read. Then go back to the Black Labor White Wealth, and that tells you exactly why you don't own a damn thing. You have no power, no resources. How are you gonna live in a society and be competitive? The second reason you keep losing is because you're an out group. You're an out group. You have no friends and allies. And throughout history, you've had about 1 or 2 white people that really was a friend of yours. John Brown was one. They hung him, but up at Harper's Ferry for trying to break in and free black folk. So that's the second reason. You have no allies and no friends. So that's why in that chart I told you on page 56.
The chart. Let me see. I'm gonna try to pull that up on the screen. And everybody who's watching on Instagram, by the way, my Instagram's The Real Boyce Watkins if you want to follow on Instagram. If you guys on Instagram want to see what's on the screen, then you can go to drboycetv.com. Yeah, Dr. Anderson, I got that image right here. I took a picture of it on my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it so everybody watching on YouTube will be able to see it. You can talk us through it. Like I said, everybody on Instagram, if you want to see it, just go to drboycetv.com. And I'm gonna pull this up on the screen. Yeah, I hope y'all can excuse my big finger on the image. And that was me trying to find a quick solution. So I took a picture on my phone. So, but go ahead, Dr. Anderson. So what are we looking at here?
Right. So you see that. So in our society, what I try to tell blacks in all my books, that's why the powernomics principles. And then they ask you, what is a powernomics concept? It teaches us how to learn how to aggregate, not integrate, but aggregate, come together and aggregate, and pool all of our resources, power, and wealth in a vertical system that goes up and down from the top to the bottom. And that's what that chart is telling you. We need to always stay that every power and wealth on the earth is always, everything has been distributed from the highest to the lowest. And so on the left there, you see that black goes all the way down and runs all the way across religion, poverty, gender, ethnicity, and political party. That's how it's been distributed. And over whites now, whites are they got their vertical order, going from the highest of the whites to the lowest white. That's why on a plantation, the white master, he owned the damn plantation. And I have 200 slaves, but guess what he did? He had a responsibility and obligation to go all the way down to the bottom and take care of the lowest white. That's why right now, all those red states you see that's gonna be voting for Trump and everything, and so everybody in those red states in the South, they're red now, they were red 150 years ago. That's all the way across the South, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. That's what they call them red states all the way out through the central. They stick together and play as a team, And so across that then, so let me run down and finish telling you what these other things, I'm gonna go back to that chart.
Sure. You want to put the chart back up on the screen?
Well, no, let me give you the second, I gave you the 2 points. First one I'm gonna tell you is that blacks don't have any friends. You have no friends, don't let nobody BS you. Nobody that gives a damn about black folk. Nobody. That's why you start talking about right now with the virus, and that 6 to 7 blacks gonna die for every 1 white person dies. You start talking about getting resources, get to the grocery store. You don't have any damn supermarkets in your neighborhood. They're gonna put those most supermarkets basically in white neighborhoods. When the neighborhood becomes primarily black, they're gonna move them to outside the city. And then you got major automobile lots or something, selling property and stuff. They're gonna move it outside. They're gonna move the wealth outside. They're gonna move the industries outside, move them away from black folk. So, because nobody's gonna do anything for you as black people. That you're gonna be. So, in the case of a terrorist attack or a virus, you're gonna have to struggle like hell to get resources. That's why you don't have any hospitals in the black neighborhoods. Basically, you don't have any. Most of the black doctors don't even exist in the black neighborhoods anymore. Integration destroyed your neighborhoods, took everything from you and moved it out, so that you'll be just as vulnerable as hell. And so you don't have any allies or friends. And so if you go down that chart again, well, first we'll get to the chart. Third thing I had was, is the constitutional social construct. That's your third thing. I don't see any blacks ever challenging the social construct. They never challenge that social construct. What is the social construct? That's the United States Constitution. It was put in place in 1789. It says that how you will be defined and viewed and treated. That's locked into a social construct. How in the hell are you gonna start talking about, well, we can socially integrate? No, you can't. The construct is there. The whole system is based on that. Whole system is based on that social construct. That's why you find right now that, for instance, the whole justice system is based on that social construct. That's why right now, out of attorneys, about 95 to 96% of all the attorneys that we have in the United States are basically whites, the attorneys. Again, let's move up from that. Let's go to the prosecutors that are prosecuting people. You might wonder, well, why is it that jogger down in Georgia, the black guy was shot by 2 whites who said they were performing a citizen's arrest on him and just shot him and killed him. Why is it that they didn't do anything about it since January? That's because, again, the prosecutors in the country, again, 95 to 96% of all the prosecutors in the United States are whites. The state prosecutors are whites, not black. And as a matter of fact, I guess out of all the state prosecutors in the United States, you got over 65% of them are whites. We got about almost half the states in the United States don't have not one black prosecutor. That's why they know how to prosecute those guys. So let's move up from the next. Then you go up to the federal level, where you're gonna have federal courts. And guess what? That out of that, again, that's basically whites. People say, we're gonna get blacks, so we're marching, we're gonna march, and when the Martin Luther King marches with civil rights leaders, we want justice. How the hell you gonna get justice when justice is only perceived, can only be visualized through the eyes of whites? That's why at the federal level, we move up to the federal level from the prosecutors, that for federal judges, guess what? From 1789 all the way up to 1948, that's a long ass time, isn't it? Okay, guess what? During that course of that time, they'd appointed something like almost 1,450 federal judges. And guess what? They hadn't appointed not one, Dr. Watkins. You're a smart man. Listen to these numbers. And from 1789 all the way up to 1948, they had appointed something like about 1,450 federal judges. And guess what? Not one was black until 1948.
Wow.
And then following that from 1948, let's go over to 1970 when I was President Carter in the White House. So from 1948 you go to that goes to 1950. Then from 50 to 1970, that's about 22 years. 22 years, they appointed about another 3 or 4 judges, federal judges, in another 22 years. So when I'm in President Carter, you only had about 4 or 5 black federal judges in 1970s. And guess what? Then I use my contact and my skills in playing the game with them to get some black federal judges. And I appointed with my contacts personally, going out of my way, playing the game to beat the game. I appointed 3 the federal judgeships in the 1970s. Now, and you said, well, Dr. Anderson, you mean tell me that you appointed almost the same number of black judges in the time you were with the president than they had appointed for black federal judges in 200 or 300 years? I said, that's right. Now, so here they are. That was Al C. Hastings down in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Joe Hatchett in Jacksonville, Florida, and a black federal judge out in San Diego, California. So I appointed as many judges as the United States had by myself that have been appointed as federal judges in over 360 damn years. Then you should be saying, well, where are all those black civil rights leaders? Why wasn't anybody else appointed as a federal judge? Why is that you got to appoint by yourself 3? And they had about 3 or 4 in 360-something years. About 100 years in slavery, that's 400, almost 460 years. Why is it that you can appoint more in by yourself than they had appointed in 460 years? That's at the federal level. Now let's go to the top level, Supreme. And guess what? Right now, Donald Trump is stacking the federal courts. He's stacking the federal courts to make sure that you don't ever get any more justice. So all these black talk, we looking for justice. You forget about getting justice. Forget about it. You ain't gonna get it. All the federal judges, he's gonna stack all these courts now with federal judges so that you won't get it anymore. And Obama, while he was in office, asked about how many federal judges did Obama appoint in 8 years. And you can almost hold every finger down, hold the fingers up for it. So the federal court's gonna be stacked for the next 40 or 50 years. There'll be no justice for you. So people ask me, what's going to happen to us? I'm telling you that. You're going to be able to waste the time for you to even think about going to court. Let's go above that to the Supreme Court. They put the Supreme Court in effect, after they set up the Constitution. They set up a Supreme Court. Guess what? The first 57 judges appointed to the United States Supreme Court, guess what? They were all slaveholders. So that's why you didn't get any justice. Because you go into the Supreme Court, they were slaveholders. And so that was first 57. Now, since those first 57 in the last 100 some years, guess what? Then almost 99% of those were white racists. They put in one half-ass black that's on there to pretend he's a black man. He's a white man pretending he's black. I'll sit up there right now. Out of 99, out of 9 of them right now, he's pretending he's black. So
Thomas, that poor guy. He's
they have attention there. He has been talking about, we got to go back to the original intent of the Constitution. I can't do anything to help black folk. We got to go back to the original intent. I said, hell, the original intent was for your ass to be a slave. Well, you ain't too damn bright then. And so now you got one black man set up in the Supreme Court, and Donald Trump is stacking the Supreme Court against your ass. So he stacked the federal courts. And then prosecutors down here, that you can't get in there. You haven't got that many black lawyers. Because when they learn in law school, they go into white universities, learn how to practice law. And guess what they teach them? You make your decision in race matters based on stare decisis or previous court rulings. And somebody got more than a third grade education. Well, hold a second. On previous court rulings, the previous court ruling back in 1857, the Dred Scott decision said a black man has no rights. So if you're going to go by previous court rulings, and you're now a black attorney, how are you going to represent me in court when you're going by stare decisis and the previous court rulings? Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. if the previous rule in 1857 said a black man has no rights that a white person is bound to respect, and that's what they're teaching you in a white university going to law school. Well, that's what we learn. They don't teach us anything else. And I say, are you familiar with the 13th, the 14th, and 15th Amendment and the Civil Rights Laws of 1865? Yeah, they taught us about that, but we know about it. They tell you that was the second Constitution. You got two constitutions. The first one in 1789, then one following this Civil War. You got two constitutions. The second Constitution was written strictly and solely for black folk to reverse 1857 Dred Scott decision, which says a black man has no rights. But the Supreme Court, which is made up of white racists, they took and turned it upside down and neutralized it so black people couldn't use the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment and the civil rights laws. That's why the Slaughterhouse case of 1872 says that those laws are written strictly and solely for black folk. So did the Sanders Law, court ruling in 1789, said again that those laws were written strictly for black folk and white folk and nobody else could use them. That Hispanics can't use those laws, that Asians can't use those laws, that Arabs can't use those laws, it's 13th and 14th and 15th Amendment civil rights laws, can't use the civil rights laws. Those things were written for black folk. But you sit there and let people go down on you and teach you things backwards, you go along with it. That's why you're not advancing. That's why you never win. The system is stacked against you. All this is in those books. And Ted said, there's no way you can win. You waste your time going to court. Then they said, well, Dr. Anderson, well, what we did as a white person, we just narrowly defined those laws so that you can't go to the courts and win based on a group concept. You have to go as an individual. I said, that's the stuff you all started in 1870, when the first black folk got a job, saying that a black person cannot go to court if he gets into elected office or take a position as an elected official based on anything based on groupism. Secondly, it must be based on individualism. And thirdly, you cannot talk about race matters. And fourthly, you cannot hold white folks accountable for what they did to you during slavery. They put all this into effect. And now these blacks go to law school. They don't understand this. They don't do a damn thing about it. They go there and try to represent black people in court using the laws that white folk had taught them in a white law school. That's why Obama, he taught constitutional law. He must have been sitting out on the parade ground teaching it.
Well, everybody, in case you just came in, I assume you know who you're listening to, but I want to make sure everybody knows. This is Dr. Claud Anderson. He's the author of, and I want you to go to his website and take a look at his books. You got your kids at home. This is our opportunity to take over the educational process. Stop waiting for white folks to educate your kids. That's your job. You got everything you need. We're both professors. There are lots of other professors out here that can teach you at a far higher level and teach your children how to be black and how to be strong and how to be safe and how to prosper in a world that's stacked against them. So a good place to go to get educational resources for your children is powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. You can find all of Dr. Anderson's books. You can get all 5 books and a DVD in his library pack for just $99. So $99, which is less than the amount of money some people spend when they go out to a club, or when you went to go see the movie The Black Panther and you took your family out to dinner. You might have spent that much money in one night, but this will change your whole life because he doesn't just teach you economics, but it teaches you history. And the only way to understand how to survive in America as a black person is to know the history in terms of how they see you, how we got to where we are right now. That's why you keep losing. That's why you're so confused, is because they don't want you to know your history. They don't want you to know all the things that happened before you got here. Dr. Anderson is the key to understanding these things, and he's put these ideas in great books that you should take a look at. And Dr. Anderson, if you don't mind, I want to take a moment to acknowledge everybody who was giving money in the chat. I don't speak when Dr. Anderson's speaking, just so y'all know. So that's why I didn't say anything. But Kathy Dean, Leon Harris, Jerry Meyer from Jerry Meyer Fashion Entertainment, Steve Cox, Denise Arrington, Cheryl Branch. She has a new book coming out called Seeking Insulin. Thank you, Cheryl and Louise. I want to say thank you all for making donations in the chat. The money will be put to good use. because we're seeking to control as much of Black media as we possibly can. And speaking of the control of Black media, a free service we have tonight is Black Movie Night. And that's your chance to support Black filmmakers and Black-owned films that are coming right out of your community. The film tonight is Resurrecting Black Wall Street, The Blueprint, directed by Dorian Chandler, an award-winning director out of the Bronx. And we're going to watch it tonight at 8 o'clock. If you'd like to register, go to blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. And Dr. Anderson, before I let you get the last word, I'm also mentioning, I see iwantamask.com. iwantamask.com. It looks like he made a donation, and he's selling those ugly masks that you got to wear when you go to the grocery store. But the good was the KN95 mask. So buy you some Black-owned masks. So go to iwantamask.com, and you can actually use the code Dr. Boyce, one word, to get 30% off. So he set that up. I've never met the brother, but he's in the chat on a regular basis, and I support Black business. So go take a look at iwantamask.com. So Dr. Anderson, did you have any parting words for us today before we go out here and do what we got to do?
Yeah, let me finish and give me those 5 points. So first thing I said was that we don't understand where we are and how we got there. And you marked that down. That's your first point, why we keep losing. Keep losing because we don't understand these issues. That's why I wrote Black Labor, White Wealth, to show you why. Whites got all the wealth. You Black labor, where you did the work, they got the money and the resources. Slavery systematically maldistributed 100% of all this nation's wealth, income, resources, power, privileges, rights, controls of all levels of governments into the hands of the dominant white society. That's why white folk wound up owning, controlling 99% of everything. And that was during slavery. Right now it's down to 87%. 87% of everything that a white person needs to survive, he gets it at birth because it's in his culture, in his family, in his communities, in his school, in his university, in his banks, is in his family, and he inherited it. Anytime a white person can look around, walk the streets, and pick up 87% of what he needs, there's nothing in the Black community, period. Because a Black child is born in just the opposite. When a Black child is born, he's born in a situation that's been socially integrated. There's nothing in there. Everything has been stripped out and moved and relocated into white communities. All our businesses are gone. Our Black leadership is gone. Our culture is gone. Our history is gone. Our leadership is gone. Our schools are gone. Everything has been converted over for benefits of whites. There's nothing there to transfer in. So we don't know where we are and then how we got there, because they haven't read those 5 books for Powernomics, Black Labor, White Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth. That's two dirty little secrets books with over 1,000 little short stories showing you what Blacks have done and never got credit for it. And the last one, again, it was a Black History Reader, 101 questions that you never thought to ask. So that was the 2 of them. Now the third one, the reason we keep losing, is that nobody, not even the Black lawyers or anybody else or judges, would challenge the social construct. They don't challenge the Constitution. That we're talking about. We got constitutional rights for this. You don't have any constitutional rights, period, as a Black person. You didn't have them in the first Constitution, because the first Constitution in 1789, that's strictly an affirmative action plan for whites to make sure anybody who's classified as whites can get everything they want when they come in this country. That's why when these immigrants come in the country, they immediately classified as whites. Hispanics right now were whites up until 1970, and all of a sudden they said they're going to give. If Anderson's going to write an affirmative action plan, which I did, I wrote an affirmative action plan starting in 1970, and when they saw that, they said, well, maybe we can also be Hispanics, and even though we were descendants of slaveholders, maybe we can get classified as being a minority, and we can be equal to Black folk. That way, every time somebody proposes something, they say, let's do something not for Blacks, let's do it for Blacks and Browns, or let's do it for Blacks and women, or let's do it for Blacks and gays, or let's do it for Blacks and poor people, any kind of BS. Because they just dilute it down because they don't attack the Constitution. The second Constitution was Black folk, and that was in after following the Civil War, and that's been corrupted. Everything in it was corrupted and neutralized so that Black folk can't use it. That's why the Black folk can't use the 14th Amendment. That's why they can't use because the Dred Scott decision has never been reversed. The point of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment was to reverse the Dred Scott decision. But when the courts neutralized it, you still under the Dred Scott decision. Blacks like to ask me, what are we going to get after the virus is gone? You're going to get the same screwing you've been getting, because nobody's corrected it now. They've neutralized the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment where everybody could use it. They ignore the Dred, they ignore everything was written for the original intent of helping black folk. So that was two things. The third thing is that we don't challenge the Constitution. The fourth thing that we don't do, we should be doing, is we have a lack of social cohesiveness. Fourth thing, you have no social cohesiveness. You've been taught to love everybody, to love the world, to try to save everybody, put your interests last. And see, now all the civil rights leaders have been pushing that bull on black folks now since the 1960s. We got to care about all people. No, you don't. You don't have to care about all people. And so that was the fourth one. And I guess I had one guy that in California once. After I finished giving a speech, one lady got up and said, Dr. Anderson, she said, I just want you to know, I like everything you say except one thing. I don't like when you say we have to be concerned primarily, have a self-interest, look out for ourselves first. I don't like that. And she says, because that's not what God, that's not what the Bible teaches us. The Bible teaches us we got to be concerned about everybody. We got to fight for everybody. We got to love everybody. We got to care about everybody. And so I said, who taught you that? She says, the Bible teaches me that, and God teaches me that. I talk to God every night I talk to God. And when she said that, when she finished telling me that, I'm on the stage. And guess what? This guy, I love it for it. He jumped up, a little small man, and says, Dr. Anderson, let me respond to that lady. And he asked us, lady, let me ask you one thing. He says, now, you say God teaches you this? She said, yeah. He said, when you talk to God, he said, I talk to him every night. He says, good. He said, I talked to him this morning. He said, don't listen to that shit you come here talking about. He says, I talk to him every morning. He tells me, forget that crap you talking about. And so I could have said that better. And so the last fifth point is that we don't have, not only we don't have a social cohesiveness that was taken from us during slavery, but we were taught not to hang together as a group, but to hate each other, have self-hate, and to hate other black folk. If you're gonna do any shooting, if white folk are shooting black folk, you shoot them too. And but the fifth point was that we're the only people that have been taught to practice capitalism without capital. And so consequently, we were taught that having money and capital was bad, and that you got to stay away from capital. They squeeze things out of the Bible and misinterpret them, because we got a lot of ministers don't know the Bible, even though they sit up preaching every Sunday, talking about we got to be against money because a rich man got the chance of a camel going through the head of a needle and all this kind of stuff. If he's rich, money is bad. Don't worry about money. There's nothing wrong with money. We don't have any capital. Without capital, we cannot punish nor reward people that do us in. And that's why we got to stop spending our money. We got a 1.2 or $1.3 trillion worth of disposable annual income. We give it all away. We got to start practicing capitalism. Every dollar comes into a black hand. We got to start practicing group economics and keep it all in our communities. But the problem is we don't have any communities, so therefore we lose. And that's why I want black folks to start practicing capitalism. Don't listen to anybody come here talking about socialism. You tell them they want to practice socialism, tell them to move to Russia and to China. But right now in America is a capitalist society and a capitalist democracy. Practice capitalism. Keep your money in your own communities. Build your own communities. And in that communities, once you build these black communities, and right now, this is a year of reckoning. From between June, another 2 weeks, and November, all you're going to hear me talk about is a reckoning. Reckoning means an accounting. White folk owe us, and we're going to start holding them accountable for all these 460 years of what they've done to us, period. We're going to be looking for recognition, appreciation, and reparations. And we're going to be starting that, and right now I'm working on that. I'm going to try to see if we can go back and rebuild a black business district in the United States. Starting with that. Now, right now, I think one of the ideal places to do it would begin to still be Detroit, and to build a black business district there, because I had that whole system laid out in about 120-page plan for starting with Detroit. But I want every black neighborhood to move from being a neighborhood. A neighborhood is useless and start becoming a community. Build a community, and in that community, that's where you store your wealth, your resources, your privileges, your rights, your income, your taxes, your jobs, your employment. Everything, their products and your services and your goods are stored in your communities. And once you build these communities, and then you put a sense of community over it to protect you, so people can't come in there and dump garbage and prostitute your women and sell drugs to your kids. And so we're gonna be working on that. And you're gonna be talking about a year of reckoning. This is coming up. And I want you all to start hanging together as a group, buy those books and read them, and don't just buy them. If you don't have those 5 books in your home or in your school library, then you don't have a home library, nor do you have a school library. You have nothing. Get those 5 books and start reading them. We're gonna have a reckoning between now and and that's why I go down this chart I just told you about, right here. Let me close with this now again. Can you put it up? Let me close with it.
Yep. I will pull it up right now. There you go.
Okay, at the top of that was religion. Blackness is a vertical system. Everything that's got power and wealth goes from the highest to the top. That's why God's on high and the devil is low, because that's how the power is distributed. Power and enrichment, everything of value should be from the top going to the bottom. That's why on the left-hand side of that chart, it's got blacks at the top, going over at the bottom. If it was talking about religion, it should be God on high and devil low. You start talking about power and resources in a physical geographical term, it's mountains high and valleys low. So religion, do not place your religion over the importance of being vertical. See, we got a lot of people right now, they place more importance on vertical, on religion than on blackness. And that's a mistake. You see over on the white side, whites go horizontal because they stick together. They don't place their religion. That's why Jews right now, Jews might be in the minority, but they're white. That's why they accepted whatever whites. They're whites, Jews. That's why we fight for Israel on the right-hand side. That's horizontal. Like down next to down poverty, white on poverty. Don't spend all your time talking about trying to help poor people. You cannot correct poverty on this earth. But that's why the Bible says the poor will always be with us. If you want to correct something, you got to have money and resources. You cannot eradicate poverty. What you want, poverty is a ditch. Don't worry about closing up the ditch. Just try to get black folk out of it by getting some wealth and resources, then go back and get black folk out of it and use those resources to do it. Don't try to become a black multi-millionaire, a billionaire, then spend it all on yourself, playing games talking about religion or trying to eradicate poverty. We eradicate poverty by trying to get blacks out of it. Leave poverty alone. Leave poverty alone, just get blacks out. Next to this gender going down, a lot of black folks place it more important on what gender they belong. I'm a female, I'm a black female, so I'm identify with the white woman before I identify with black folk. And that is a silly issue. That's women might have a headache with some discrimination on gender, but that's like, but comparing gender with racism is like comparing a headache with cancer. It might be a headache being a woman, but it's cancerous being black. Don't get hung up on this stuff about ethnicity, where you start identifying, we are people of color. And that means that everybody, even poor whites, got color. We're with Muslims because they got color. We're with Hispanics because they got color. Stay out of the ethnicity bag. Stay out of that bag and put your blackness first before everything. And the same thing with the last one on political parties. Don't be trying to hook up and place it on a great importance of, well, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. Who gives a damn? You should be placing your priority be, what does it do for black folk? If they neither one is doing a damn thing for black folk, get out of them. Become an independent. 67% of all the people in America are independents. They don't belong to either one of the parties. And black folk right now, they can become, right now, 38 to 40% of all the blacks in America are claiming to identify with the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is not going to tell you what they're going to do specifically and solely and guarantee it for black folk in this upcoming election in November. Get the hell out of the Democratic Party. Don't listen to any politician you see on TV telling you to go join a political party that's promised you nothing. They promise you nothing, that's exactly what the hell you're going to get. Don't vote for somebody based on a political party. Vote for whoever promises the most and delivers to black folk. That's so necessary. Form your own party. Form a black party, period. Form a black party and say we will vote as a block. But that's 46 million strong for whichever party would promise and delivers. Don't run into candidates. Do not run into candidates because you're this country's original minority. You're this country's only political minority. You're this country's permanent underclass. Vote as a block for what party promises the most and delivers the most. And right now, you know Trump has told you that already. He said you ain't got a damn thing to lose by voting for me because I ain't gonna do a damn thing for you. Nobody else will either. And Trump is looking for 20% of the black vote. He got throughout since 1950, the Republican Party has never gotten more than 2%. This last election, Trump got 9%. Now he wants to double that and get 20%. Do not do it unless he say, look, go talk to Anderson. Anderson got 15 things that I would tell the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Here's what I want for black vote. You deliver those things, so I got to help you get the black vote. But if you don't do that, I'm not going to help you. And people say, Dr. Anderson, aren't you suppressing the black vote? No, I'm not suppressing the black vote. The United States Constitution suppresses the black vote. Wake up, stupid. The Constitution, the first Constitution suppressed your black vote. The theft of the Civil Rights Movement suppressed the black vote. Again, right now, putting weak blacks in positions of authority, putting them in office, suppresses the black vote. That's what suppresses your black vote. You haven't got a black vote. Your vote is useless because right now you're the permanent minority. Bringing in something like 60 million illegal immigrants into the country, suppress the black vote. Hispanics now outnumber you. And so on a scale of 10, that you're 10 people in 10 groups in this country ethnically outnumber you. Your vote doesn't count. Because right now, there's 9 to 10 groups that are voting against black folk. They don't need your vote. The only time your vote is power when you vote as a block and you build your own communities and you got money to back it up. That's how you vote. Play the game and win. And that's why we don't win. That's why we keep losing. And I want to run through those 5 points with you. Dr. Watkins, tell you why we keep losing, okay? We don't play to win. We play to get along and be liked. I want white folks to like me. That's why I want social integration, so they'll like me. Let me come to their school, go in their neighborhoods. Let me go into their restaurants. Even if they spit in the food, let me go in there. That food sure tastes good when they spit in it. Y'all that kind of thing. Good luck to you, buddy.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, I agree with you. I'm not trying to play the game to tie. I believe in playing the game to win. And if everybody agrees, put your hashtag B1 in the chat. Hashtag B1 means that you agree with us that black people should come first, that our community comes first. Use that hashtag everywhere you're on social media. Hashtag B1 because we have to have that conversation, which is a self-esteem conversation. We got to learn to love ourselves. And that's why I love Dr. Anderson. That's why I love you, because you are reminding people that it's okay for black people to love black people and to show that with your action. And love is not just a feeling. Love is an action. Love is a verb. So never listen to somebody who says they love you, but then they act like they hate you. And so some black folks are like that. They say they love black people, but then they act like they hate black people, and we can't have that. Also, I want to make sure I mention this. As you hit the thumbs up button, please, everybody, please hit the thumbs up button. We want everybody to see this video. Give us a commitment in the chat that you will take this link to this conversation and you will share it on your social media. We need you to be part of our distribution process. Share it with your family. Share it with all the backward Negroes who don't know history. This is your university. You are in college right now. You can't tell me this wasn't one of the best master lectures you've ever heard. If you went to college, you know this is better than any of those professors that you heard feeding you a bunch of bullshit. So share this with everybody that you know. Put it on your social media. Also, I want to mention, I want to give a special thank you to drummer Teresa Barnett, Jason Young, Jamara Nelson, Plukas 21, and Yellow Fuzz. I saw you all donate in the chat. And also I see Jerry Meyer. I see your donation you just made. He's donating in pounds or in euros. So I think Jerry's all the way over in Europe. So God bless you over there. And last but not least, I'm going to mention 2 more things. One, powernomics.com is where you can go take a look at Dr. Anderson's books. This is the perfect time for you as a family to own the education of your family and education of your children. So Powernomics is the place to start. Most important books you'll ever read. The Black History Reader is the best Black history book that's out there, better than anything you'll find in school. So read this because this will fill in all the blanks, all the stuff that they don't tell you that stuff is in here. This is what he's the keeper of the secrets, basically. And then Powernomics will help him put together action plans that can be applied on a community level and a family level. So go to powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. Last but not least, before I say goodbye to my friend Dr. Anderson, I want to remind everybody tonight we're watching The Resurrecting Black Wall Street, the Blueprint, directed by Dorian Chandler, for Black Movie Night. If you want to come in 8 o'clock tonight, register at blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. Dr. Anderson, we're building this movie industry. We're building this entertainment industry. We are connected with hundreds of Black filmmakers and directors and producers all over the world, actors and actresses. As soon as the pandemic's over, we're actually going to start getting studios and shooting more films and stuff like that. We've made some movies, and it's really working. You know, the community's behind it. Every Black movie night we have, Dr. Anderson, thousands of people show up. The Zoom room only holds 3,000 people, and we fill it up in the first 3 minutes. You know, so what we're trying to do, Dr. Anderson, is we're trying to basically control the production of Black films, the distribution of Black films, getting it to the audience, and then the monetization of Black films, meaning getting the audience on board to support the films that they believe in that come out of their community. And that way you create an ecosystem so that the money's flowing within the Black community. So that's what we're doing. And we want to do it better than the Jewish community did when they built Hollywood. We want to build something better. So that's what we're doing, and it's working really well. I'll let you get the last word.
Okay, well, thank you. And I hope those charts that I showed you weren't too complicated and didn't confuse them. And the reason I had those X's on that shows the only time that a Black person can profit from religion is if that religion is being acted upon. If you're going to be a Muslim, or Protestant or Catholic or whatever it is, then you miss the Blackness. Okay, always put your Blackness first. And as I told you again, as a pilot, I used to tell my passengers, if we lose cabin pressure and at 30,000 feet, we start descending and lose pressure, put the mask on yourself first. Don't get up and take the mask and try to put it on everybody else all around you. Sit down and sit your butt down and quit coming to it. If there any midgets back there, or peg legs, or humpbacks, or gays that need a mask, no, put it on your butt first. Say it's self-preservation. That's what we're moving into now with this virus. So between June and the end of the year, I'm gonna be pushing very hard across America for Black folk. That's my sole mission on this earth, is to push for Black folk, get them in a position where they can be a competitive, self-sufficient, and people to be able to compete and survive and prosper on this earth. And so that's why, and I'll let you know next week how many people actually, I'm gonna call the Powernomics Corporation, see how many of those books that they call and sold. So I know how many Black folk in their homes, they got an understanding of all these different racial issues. So they won't be misled by either the Republican Party or Democratic Party and by liberals or conservatives. There's no difference between a liberal and a conservative. Neither one of them give a damn about Black folk. Both of them are just trying to take care of their little ideology. They're not gonna do anything substantive for Black folk, neither will the political parties. Take care of yourselves, put the mask on yourself first, and sit down and ride the plane out. I love all of you, I love you, and I look for you next week. And I'll let you know if it got those books so we can start working by the 1st of June, getting preparation for this election that's coming up. And I want the Democratic Party to know that they don't come to me with an agenda they're gonna for Black folk. They're gonna lose a lot of Black votes, okay?
That's right. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. One more time, everybody. Everybody, please give Dr. Anderson a digital thank you, a digital round of applause. Let him know how much you appreciate him. This is my American hero, and it's an honor to have an opportunity to talk to him and to have him here every week. And we just appreciate you so much, Dr. Anderson. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a good day.
All right, you too, buddy. I'll see you soon. All right, everybody. Love you guys. See you tonight at Black Movie Night, blackmovienight.net. See you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money and the power, never be fake. Stick to code, side for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same empire back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10, 3 PhDs that we on the CNN. BBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV.